3, 2, 1. Hi everybody, we should be live. Welcome everybody to this third webinar for this new series. I'm Dr. Francesca Zampollo. Today with me is Nicole Vindel. Hi Nicole.
Hello everyone. Thanks Francesca for having me here.
Absolutely, thank you for coming. And before we start everything, please guys let me know how the audio is. If everything is, if you hear us fine, if you see us well. And then, of course, immediately let us know where you are from where you are connecting, what time it's there. Here it's in Italy, it's 5 p.m. It's tea time for me. I have kept some of my well-learned English habits. So time for a tea break for me. What time is it for you? Where are you connected from? And also just, you know, for us to have a conversation later on and to know with whom we are speaking, maybe let us know what you guys do. Are you food designers? Are you chefs? Are you studying? Are you professionals, etc.? Okay, so let's see if somebody has already written in. Not yet. Also welcome to all the people who will be joining this conversation, seeing this webinar later on, seeing the replay, of course. Before I start, a couple of words about myself for those who have never met me. I am the founder of the online school of food design, and I have written a few books. I teach food design and I do consultancy, most importantly on food design, through the process that I've called food design thinking. And I've done quite a few things. Basically, all my career has been about food design. And so here we are. This space, this YouTube channel is really where I like to put out my thoughts. And the thing that I enjoy a lot doing are these webinars, really. Not only I get to meet wonderful people like Nicole today, but also I get to share our conversation with all of you guys. In these years where I've been involved in this discipline, I've always felt from you guys, from many of you with, you know, emails and messages, this beautiful sense of community that has created around this topic for design. And so for me, it's very beautiful and important. Also, I really make it a part of my job to share conversation. As you guys know, these webinars are free. The replay will be free. Nobody is asking anything of anybody, and both Nicole and I are here because we love being here, I guess. So, without further ado, I want to say welcome again to all of you, and most importantly to Nicole. And my first question immediately for you, Nicole, is please tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are as a person, what brought you to food design, and how your studio came to be.
Okay, so I'm gonna share screen. That's the challenging part. So I can tell you more about myself and who am I. So hello, I'm a mixed cocktail of brown, white, red, yellow, and black DNA. I was born in Guatemala, raised partially in Girona and Barcelona, and partially online as a millennial I am. Then I'm a curious being, constantly trying to find new questions and new answers to everything. My dad says I'm special, and my face or shampoo soap says I'm sensitive. But at the end, I think that I'm a mix of all of these things together, you know. And okay, that can only go better than this. So let me tell you my story about how all my studio came to be and why I do what I do and what I do. So first of all, everything starts with design, something that all of you might know. I didn't know in that time when it was in 2010 when I started studying in Elisava, and then I motivated myself to do a lot of internships, and one of them was in a place called Materfat, a center of materials where I got to know all these advanced materials in this project called Damade, that it was an European project. And I got fascinating about all the possibilities. To me, was like a new world. And when I was doing my final degree thesis, I merged my previous research in matter facts about advanced materials with something that I was really curious about because I didn't know anything about, that was high cuisine and food, its relationship with food. So I met these three brothers, the Roca brothers, who opened the doors of the restaurant, Arcide and Roca, to me. It's for those who doesn't know it yet, it's a Michelin star restaurant that it's really attached to cultures, to the local culture and innovation, and they are amazing people. And there, I got to develop my final degree thesis with them. I got to know the kitchen from inside, all the processes and the experience itself. So it was wonderful experience. And I developed like a thermoactive bowl, among other things, smart tableware, that was reacting to heat and was moving and was alive. Something that we're still working on. And since then, I discovered this world of food and design, what evolved and many things happened after that. So I'm going to tell you also like my relationship to art. In the past years, the close to nomad lifestyle allowed me to work in project-based design, merging the narratives of both arts and cultures around the world. And in 2016, I think, I co-founded Random Happiness, an art collective, together with a bunch of people and creatives and many profiles. And we explore happiness. Sorry?
And a pony.
Yes, and a pony. He's our boss. He's in the studio telling us what to do, if we're wrong or right, you know. So basically, in Random Happiness, people used to think that we are like gurus or life coaches, you know, and it's nothing about that. We use happiness not as we want to be happy in a future, that also, but as a revolutionary tool, something to make change, generate awareness, inspiration, creativity, and critique at the same time. And that is great because we got to travel a lot and then to meet interesting people. And then this is my studio, our studio actually. And for one side, I have Random Happiness. For the other side, with food, I have my own studio. That to explain it briefly, because my mom still doesn't know what I do. That's the map where we move. That's our playground. So we merge art, design, and food. And then we mostly work in project-based design, but then we do some research and education. I teach in different universities, like LSI, Elisava, IED, and then here in Barcelona, and then like guesting, hosting workshops and lectures in different other universities in Israel, in Salzburg, in Tilburg, and many places. And what I'm more curious about is about interaction, cultures, experimenting, senses, and futures. So it's a wide map. But I'm going to tell you more about this in a bit.
Brilliant. So it sounds like you might be ready for my next question. But I actually wanted to read the comments that we have.
Oh, yeah.
So we have Gabrielle, who doesn't say, oh no, she said from Lima, Peru. She's Gabrielle, maybe it's a he, I'm sorry. From Peru, industrial designer and pastry chef. I love this combination and like to work in the relationship between food, design, and mental health. Excellent, love it. And then we have Krishna, who says hello. Krishna, let us know from where you are connecting and maybe what you do. Thank you. If you want to, you don't have to. And then we have Sarah. She's from New York, USA, and she's developing a business called Aesthetically Complex Pies, blending food and sculpture. Love it. Well done. Lovely group of people. And there's plenty more who are viewing this webinar right now. So guys, let us know where you are and what you do, because it's very exciting, and also it could mold the conversation that we'll have. This thing moved way out of my side. Okay. So, Nicole, it sounds like I can actually ask you my next question. You are kind of ready for that, which is, what do you think that food design can do for this current global situation that we are living, and how maybe your thoughts have reflected in your work?
That's a very interesting question. I think food design can do many things. It can mitigate the impact that we have by carrying out over our environment and ourselves. But first of all, I believe that food and design and art can generate awareness and a call to action, something that makes us connect in an emotional way with what we are doing daily, that it's eating. So I can explain a bit through some examples of my work. I promise they're going to be better than my collage skills. So the first thing that I think that food design can do is to inspire those people that are making things in science, in technology, in many other areas of biotechnology, nanomaterials, and many other disciplines. So we are here like to give new narratives. And one of the narratives that we explored was around better ways and more efficient ways of eating. I don't know if you have ever seen Huel or Soylent or all of these brands. It's not merchandising, but basically is a powder that you mix with water, and then you can you can survive only eating this. And it's such a kind of batido of smoothie with different flavors, and it's interesting. But after 1 week of trying it, trust me, you're like not willing to try it anymore, or at least not daily, because there's something really important in eating, that it's the pleasure of tasting our foods, of smelling them, right? Of having different temperatures, and there's a lot of science behind all of this. So I think it was 2016, 2017. I was exploring a lot about how our brain and our body reacts, what's the physiological reaction of the stimuli that we receive when eating, and what happens there. And I realized there's a lot of already made experiments and research and applications. So I came up with the concept together with Random Happiness about what if in a future we could split the fact of nourishing ourselves and then feeling the pleasure of eating. So for sure, there's better and more efficient ways of using our resources in the earth. And what happens if we have all these pills, right? But we don't really enjoy it. So that makes no sense. We would be disappointed with our food. So in that sense, we decided to explore what happens with the pleasure, and we came up with a concept that has been exhibited in the Design Museum here in Barcelona, actually our neighbors. And so basically, these are different pieces. Each of them stimulates synthetically different parts of the brain to stimulate and to reproduce the sense of the pleasure of eating in different formats. This, for example, was connected to dreams. What if we could feel the pleasure of eating while dreaming? What if we can connect it with visual insights and then memory? And then what if we could have this food porn, and wish what we want to eat, and then just feel it and reproduce it, right? Or others tackle to memories, and so on, so on, so on. So this exhibition was, we showed 7 showcases, but we had a bunch of them. And it was nice because with the guys of Random Happiness, we got invited to go to Cuba. Now, it seems like so far, but can't remember it so well, in the Forum of Michelangelo Pistoletto, that is here. And was a great experience to exhibit in this amazing theater. So one thing that we can do for sure is inspire the people that can make this change. The second thing that I think that it's interesting is to generate awareness, something that nowadays it has been more activated with the moment that we are doing. And then in the first lockdown, I was considering, it appeared this piece that it's called Awake. And I was feeling a bit frustrated about how we were locked down in our houses, just scrolling down while we can do things, right? And I feel this sense of not being able to do anything by my own, and how can we use the collective power to make a change? And then it was hard to express this feeling, so I tried to exemplify it with something as a metaphor, as popcorn, that has the potential to explode, right, and has the potential of changing and adapting to new environments, right? So I decided to make these popcorns that actually are not for eating. They are made out of resins, and actually it was such a kind of meditation to me. I was all the lockdown focused making popcorn, handmade, and painting them by hand and making them with the mold. And actually it was more like a therapy to me, I think. And then I got really freaked into that. And then I developed like these artworks. There are several like sculptures that exemplifies this feeling of the need to move. If you don't move, this is like gonna cover you, right? And we're gonna be sitting in our sofas covered in popcorns, and everything is gonna be covered in popcorns. So that was like the way of transmitting this sense of needing to change things. What led me to, and actually in that moment, I met Jashan, that was here last week. So we were discussing together about how can we change things together, and it came the next project and the next way that I think food design can make a change. That would be creating frameworks to collaborate. And in this moment, we develop this concept a bit further, that is the food design nation. What happens if now that we are like in this moment that we're kind of stuck in one place and locked, but we are partially living online? Why don't we create a nation that is online? Why it needs to have a territory, right? And in this moment, we thought about the potential that it has, right? Like maybe connecting people from one place to the other. And then one can help the other to make, their daily relationship with food, to make it more efficient, to make it more productive, to share thoughts. So that was the born of the nation that we officially launched this January. And actually, these are, I don't know if that's updated, but more or less, we have people that join us from different parts of the world. That it's amazing because we weren't expecting such a warm welcome, and I think people was needing to connect somehow and share knowledge, democratize food, and it's a way of being all together and supporting each other and making things bigger, motivating to change the status quo by doing maybe the right questions.
Excellent.
And that's food design.
I just want to jump in here and say that I fully support, for what is worth, this guy's work with Food Design Nation. And to everybody who is listening now and who will be watching this later, go on the website, have a look at it. And of course, Nicole, you might add to this, but I believe you can become part of it, part of the Food Design Nation, and you can tell us how, right?
For sure. Actually, if you go to Food Design Nation in Instagram or fooddesignation.com, you can find in our agenda that we're like, for one side, you can join the community, what means that you will be included in the network, in Slack, and then in also the newsletter, and enrolled in everything that we do. And then there's a lot of events that we're launching, from safaris discovering new insights with like-minded people, or roundtables that we're going to host one today, the second one. After this call, we have the second roundtable. And then also we're doing this serendipity where you can do like a speed dating with a random person in the world, just for a short time of conversation. That's fun. And then the FD Zine, that is our magazine, that is going to be launched soon. And you can check it.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe just to round this up, if you guys want to know a bit more about the other half of Food Design Nation, Josh and Sippy, then you can start by watching the webinar that we had last week, and you'll find it here on this channel. And he is a food designer in sugar and space, so you can check that out as well on Instagram and everywhere. Brilliant. Yes. So I just want to add here that we had Jordi saying Bona tarda, good afternoon, but he doesn't say where he's from.
I think he's Catalan.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I think so.
Right, okay. And then we have Melissa saying that she's from Indonesia, currently a final year student of food science and technology, interested in food design. Welcome. Alessandra Sposetti, who sounds Italian, but she always says hello. So Alessandra, let us know what you do and how you are passionate, what's your interest in food design. And then Carola, and I wonder if it's the same Carola with whom I've been in touch a few times in the past few months, and who I think has recently been nominated for Food Design 2021. And I'm not sure if it's the same one. But anyway, hello to you all, and please keep telling us where you're from. And of course, I forgot to say, if at any point you guys have questions, just shoot. Oh, it is the same Carola. Excellent. Hi, then. Welcome. Hi, nice to see you. If you at any point you guys have questions, just shoot them in the chat room, and I will ask them more or less immediately, more or less soon to Nicole.
Yes.
Lauren, MSc student, studying food systems and interested in designing functional food. Love it. We talked about functional food yesterday with our first room in Clubhouse. Very interesting. And we talked about functional food in the first webinar of this series we did with Julia Varela, so you might want to check that out. And Alessandra Sposetti says that indeed she is Italian, but she lives in Brazil. And she sends a hi. Okay, brilliant. Moving on. The following question that I wanted to ask you is about trends. What current trends are you most excited about?
Actually, I have to say that yesterday's Clubhouse Room was really insightful. It's something that I'm not really following a lot of trends, but I can tell you that, for example, functional food is something that is fascinating me. I don't know if you heard that. This is a reflection. Okay, this is a reflection of how we shape food and food shapes us. And this is like a loop. It's something that we keep on transforming our foods, and actually the ingredients that we know, they might have not been like this in the past. And we have heirloom seeds that has been transformed over years. And this is what we know like food. And I found this really, really interesting, because actually by shaping it, and shaping the only material able to shape our bodies, we're shaping ourselves, and we're shaping societies, and we're shaping our behaviors, right? So this is a piece that was created in order to have a dialogue about that, how we are transforming all these foods, and what's the potential of that. And that made me reflect about another topic, that it's the cultures of care. And this is related to I think it's a quite big trend. And actually yesterday I realized I'm not the only one doing that. But all these cultures of having something at home that you can take care of and you can produce, and if you feed it, it can feed you. And it helps us to develop patience. Recently I have been digging into fermentation, and we have a lot of bias on that, but let's remember that humans, like our body, is 90% made of different kinds of microbiome, and that maybe means that we are only a 10% human, what it's interesting to reflect on. And recently with Gabriela Guaymare, that I don't know if she's here, she's a cook, and we work together since a long time ago, that we have been exploring the world of fermentations with something called kiki buba. Later I can explain more about what does that mean. But basically, I feel really intrigued about how can we activate some foods and how can we make it rich in certain properties. And at the same time, this is like a process. It helps us develop patience. So that's why all of these graphics can, I think, exemplify it very well. And it helps us to know, to control environments, to have this, this active symbiotic microbiomes grow. So this is something we have been exploring with kombucha cepaches, the kimchi. This is a kit that we're producing for some workshops, and then several other ways of lacto fermenting, and so on, so on, so on. And I was so happy to hear that actually the girls from Cloud Studio are also into that, and many people is connecting with our foods in a different way. So that's I think a trend. And then something that I think it's not a trend, maybe not anymore with all these facts of COVID, it's not as in hype, but I think it's really, really interesting. How can we understand different cultures, and cultures not as only something about a place, but cultures as communities. And one of the examples of this cultural diversity that I was exploring, I think it starts in Israel. Last year, no, 2 years ago. Yes, sorry, it's like we missed 1 year. So we were living in Israel for a while, and it was really interesting. How can we merge different cultures in one very small territory, right? And there, we thought about exemplifying it with food, with bread, for example, and merging this kind of bread and mixing with people. So we developed this concept with Gaston, Lisak, Agareres from our studio, and then Olga de la Iglesia, who jumped from, I think, New York and came to make these pictures with us. And what's interesting here is how can we understand a culture through its food, or the essence of its roots, right? And there was people that was this girl was from Belgium, and then from Arabic roots, and then people from different places as Yemen, or I don't know, like Ashkenazis, that are the Jews from the east of Europe. And each of them were carrying these foods as a sign of identity, as something that can identify you and can define where you come from, what you eat, and more than ever, we are what we eat, right? So these are some trends maybe that I'm feeling passionate about, among many others.
Yeah, I love them, and also I love the way you are not worried about whether these are really trends, because what are really trends in general? It's a word that is quite interesting to me. It's, the whole concept of trends is quite interesting to me, but I'm also a bit skeptical about. I think it's. I said it when we were talking about trends with Julia in the first webinar. It's something that is, trends are very useful for you to know of. If you want to design something new, if you're starting a new business, but also it's something that we have to remember that we make. We can set our own trends, etc. Anyway, I was thinking that I love this concept of care that you brought up. It really makes me think out, because the bulk of what I do is food design theory, so how food designers design and the whole creative process. And so it just made me think of how what we are living now, because now we are moving out of it, but this tendency of food that is fast and ready, I feel it's been a consequence of an overused users, or badly used user-centered design, right? We have started to put the user at the center of our process, which can be extremely useful, but it can become very dangerous, and I think it has become. because somehow we have been preoccupied of making sure that the user does as little as possible, because we wanted to solve all the user's problems. And what we have done in the end is that we have created all these products that are fast and readily available and cheap, and we have also created laziness. And I think this is true because right now, and you have brought up the most important example, we are actually going back. We actually are finding that we want the contrary. We want slow, we want growing at home, we want nourishing our food, which now we realize it nourishes us after 50, 60 years of food that we have eating food that lasts for decades, that when you put it in yourself that is not doing anything to you. So we're going back to the land. We're going back to growing stuff. Those of us who don't have a piece of land, I have a plant of parsley over just there. Those of us who live in an apartment. So it just made me think of how this, if maybe this it's not even an interest. It's this necessity that we are feeling now to go back to be with our food, like to have a relationship with our food, because as you said, how did you say, we shape food and food shapes us. Now we see it, now we understand it. And I wonder if this necessity isn't a result of quite a few years of badly imprinted user-centered design. But this is just a thought for the nerdy design theory designers between us. Excellent. I wanted to read a couple of things. We have Lauren. Now we have read Lauren, I think. We have Jordi. She or he. Sorry, I don't know. But this person would like to know if you collaborate with any chef or pastry chef, or if you have studied any kind of cooking. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, the other day, someone asked me to do a live cooking, and I was like overwhelmed because I don't know how to cook, really. I collaborate with a lot of chefs. I'm getting better, I think. Now I don't burn anything, at least. But yes, I collaborate with many chefs all the time, pastry chefs, different kind of specialties. Gabi, for example, she's into fermentation. But I collaborated with a chef that is more into high cuisine, Edu Baviera, and many, many others. And I think it's really important to be around people that knows how to cook and how to feed you, so you will be happy and nourished all the time.
Absolutely. And Jordi, I don't know kind of what is behind this question, but it's true that still there is a little bit of an assumption that a food designer knows food as well as design, whereas it's really not like that. You can come from some type of design and then become interested in food and put them together, or you can come from food knowledge, gastronomy, food science, etc., and then become interested in design and put the two things together. But what we are finding, what is really common, and it's happening for Nicole as well, as you just said, it's to collaborate. So whatever your background and your knowledge is enough to do food design, because you're going to collaborate with someone anyway, who knows what you don't know. So brilliant. And of course, I'm the same. I enjoy making meals for people, but that does not mean that I know how to cook. I have too a background that is in design 100%. Okay, my next question to you: what is your biggest discovery, or what is the most important thing that you've learned about design, food design, so far?
That's a big question. So that gets interesting. now connecting it with your nerdy, how you said that, like your nerdy way of thinking about human-centered design or user-centered design. I think that one of my discoveries and things that I have been applying in the classes I give, and that have been also like making me go a bit further about what we learn as designers, that it's user-centered design. I discovered non-human-centered design. This is something really interesting because it allows you to connect with others and practice this empathy that we were talking about, but in different ways. So non-centered design, it's something that it has like it's defined rules, but it's basically considering every being involved in the change of something that you're gonna create. Like, let's say that you're gonna make a t-shirt. So every person that is gonna be in the process of manufacturing, of transporting, of everything needs to have the value and the consideration as well as the user. And also, it tackles things as interesting as design things that are meant to last, that are meant to be like well designed and to the most minimum detail. And I think this is really relevant nowadays that we are used to have accessibility to everything, but maybe not the best quality. And then we don't appreciate when there's a quality thing, and we are used to get t-shirts, let's say, for €5, or go to a supermarket and have a bunch of food that has been produced in masses, and maybe that's not the most coherent way. So talking about this non-human-centered design, I have a couple of examples. One of them is Playful Nori. Is it gonna? Okay. This is a project that we have been researching about how can we establish a dialogue with the food that we're listening. And then there's different channels of these different versions. This one would be listen to my sound, but it's a way of hearing how food would like it to be eaten, right? If you ask a piece of sushi how it wants to be eaten, maybe it would tell you that it wants a massage, right? Or it wants to be listened, or it wants to be, and that's nice because usually it's like one direction action, and I like it to think as a two direction action. And this was made in collaboration with a chef and with many people, photographers, everything. But this is just one example. Let me see if I can. Okay, I think I need to go back. Yes, that happens with videos. This is another example of the series. This is Play With Me, or for example, like Squeeze Me, you know? And what if instead of eating your food, you need to squeeze it and then, like deconstruct it and eat it after that, or play with it and find the balance between sushis, and exploring different ways of eating and different ways of understanding our environment and interacting with it. I think it's interesting. That's one way. And then the biggest discovery so far, I think that it's also related to empathy. I think that one thing brings to the other. The non-human-centered design brings to empathy. And how can we empathize with other people? It's really interesting, but also empathize with objects. So this is a project we are developing currently with Food Cultura and Random Happiness. And it's interesting because it's called Who Am I? And it's Objects in Dialogue. We are in the 4th edition, and it's a series of actions where we invite people from different parts of the world and different disciplines, from philosophers to scientifics to art people and creators, and maybe someone that is here join us in some session. But basically, it's 20 people per event. Per action, and then we ask these people to go through a process of 1 week long that is quite intense, that is empathizing with objects from the archive from Food Cultura. Food Cultura is basically the foundation of Antonio Miralda, that it's a well-known and super curious artist here in Barcelona, between Barcelona and the States, that has I think it's around 20,000 objects stored in the foundation. And then we are selecting some of them, and people is transforming into these objects, and we're hosting these sessions, and it's everything online. Actually, it started during the first lockdown. And here you can see some people, then they meet another object. When you are an object, you meet another object. And then it's interesting because in that moment, you can fall in love or not. And then things happen. And we hosted one of the sessions with people that was there in person, and we got to meet them as an object, and they got to meet their object. And that's really interesting. So this is like another way of emphasizing, I think, not quite common. And so food culture, it's about, I need to say that, but it's about cultures around different foods from different parts of the world. So each object has have a story, what makes it special and unique. And then another thing that I think it's shaping a lot my work and lately has been like really, really relevant. It's critical thinking. I think that when generating a cognitive conflict with our current relationship with food, we can be able to reconsider it and reconnect in another way. And it's related to these cultures of care and what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, our way of consuming. And then I'm going to tell you a project that haven't been shown many yet. So it's called Invisible Enemy. And basically, this is a dynamite that shows the potentiality of sugar. And it's all around sugar. So it's different narratives around this topic that can be a long life exploration. But it has many ways of seeing it. And actually, it's a way of understanding that each of the ingredients that we eat, it has its connotation, its effects in our bodies. That actually sugar is socially accepted, let's say, drug in a bad way, but actually it's not bad if you consume it like in proportion, but it has a potential, right? And what happens when it explodes and when it really has its full potential, and that's what is happening nowadays. But the most important thing and the most important impact that we felt is that it's really powerful because it's unseen, it's invisible. So we are consuming it in every piece of food, but we don't know it. And then at the end, ubiquitous, it's everywhere. And the sum is that we might be consuming 10% of the amount of sugar that we eat. And we are thrilled, and there's a lot of narratives around this piece. Another one is this one, also around sugar. And it talks about how sugar is something that can slowly kill us, but very slowly, and you don't feel it because it's sweet and it's like a sweet death. And at the end, it's like this is powerful when you understand that the beauty of sugar and the diamonds that it can create, because this is all sugar, is something that attracts us and makes us go there and want to, like touch it and feel it. And then maybe there's other effects, and how there's like communities that are more susceptible to have all these products, food processed products filled with sugar, and consume it in a daily basis. And here education has a lot to say, and these are some details about this piece. But yes, these are basically my latest discoveries and something that have shaped my work.
I love it. Thank you so much, Nicole. And I think there is a nice, well, first of all, there's Jashan Sipi, who joined us a while ago, and now he's saying sugar and space in brackets. He's excited about sugar.
Yes.
And then I love this comment from, well, first of all, there's Mariana from Costa Rica, and there's, well, Jashan from Mumbai, and then I saw someone from Birmingham, Kay, maybe it's pronounced your name, and then Ahmedabad, India, and then Canada, so all over the place. Awesome. It's good to hear from you guys. But someone will say, food design seems something with endless explorations. Yes. It really is. It really is. And you, Nicole, are giving us excellent examples of that. I'm so excited. So it's we are 45 minutes in. My goal would be to stay within the 1 hour, and I think we can make it. You guys, of course, who are watching, at any point, if you have questions, just shoot them in the chat box. So, as I always say when I ask this question to my guests, this next question that I'm about to ask, I know that between the people that follow my work, there are a lot of people who are just starting in the world of food design, who just found out about it, or people who understand food design, have studied food design, are into food design, and now want to do some type of businessy action within food design, work within the area of food design. So for these people is really my next question to you, Nicole. What is your number one business advice that you would give to people who are just starting out?
Quit now that you can. I think that you're on time to have 8 hours a day work and good sleep and find easy, good money and arrive home and disconnect. I think that you are still on time, but if you're looking for an easy path, this is not the easy path, I think. You really need to love it. And if you're passionate about it, and if you're curious about dedicating your life and efforts and professionally be involved with it, I aim you to continue. And in terms of business, I think that there's nothing set, that you need to do. Just keep on doing, move, connect with a lot of people. Don't stop asking questions around you, and maybe unlearn what you know. That's really important. We have a lot of bias and things that we have been growing up with, and then there's a moment that you realize that this is something that is not maybe physiologically natural, or it's not even like coherent at all. And be critique, do your best. I think that even if you're studying at university, something that I try to push my students for is that whatever you do, try to do it the best you can, because you don't know if that's going to bring you, to the first step in your life that's going to bring you to the next one and to the next one. So it's all about starting, but you need to be, perfectionist. And then around business advice, something that I apply, I don't know if that's something that works for everyone, but it's the rule of the 3 F's. Have you heard about that?
No, tell us. F?
No?
Like
F. The letter, yes. So basically, this rule is something that I use when I have a project and I need to accept or deny a project, because actually every time that you're saying yes to something, you're saying no to other things. So you need to be careful about where you invest your time and really be committed. So the rule of the 3 F's is, if a project has at least 2 of the 3 F's, yes, you can do it. If it has the 3 F's, just jump on it. First F is fun. It's what we were talking about, is love it. It needs to be something that you would be willing to do for free and spend as many hours as needed, something that you like and you feel passionate about. Then the second one would be fame. Fame, not in the sense that you want to be a rock star, in the sense that you want to specialize on that and you would like to be attached to this concept, right? If you, for example, are a shoe designer and then someone asks you to design cupcakes, so say no, because that's not how you want the world to recognize you. And actually, this took me a long time to realize. I was tackling many things, and one day I realized I needed to focus, and the common thing to everything was food, right? But it's nice to have defined more or less the framework you want to play in. And then the third one is finance. We designers and artists mostly used to forget about that, and I think it's relevant to make it sustainable. It's not something that you can, it's not a taboo anymore, or it doesn't need to be a taboo, you know? If you're gonna do something and it's gonna give you fame and then it's gonna give you fun, it's fine. But if it's gonna give you, I don't know, fun and finance, it's also fine, you know, and it's not, there's nothing wrong in that. I think that for sure when you're studying, you're not gonna have like the best budget, but you need to consider like working when you're consider talking about that, and it's important.
Excellent, I love it. Thank you so much. I was wondering if you
Welcome.
want to unshare your screen.
Oh yeah.
Or if you have still something for later.
No.
So Jake is saying that yes, definitely, Jake, this webinar will be, the replay will be available just a few minutes after we finish. So don't worry, you can watch all of it. Thank you for joining us. Excellent. So I really have one last question for you, Nicole. Maybe you touched upon it with your last answer, but I don't know. We'll see if you change something in your answer. What would you like to be remembered by? And I ask this question to all my guests because we are all doing food design, but we are all completely unique human beings, and with that we have completely unique interests even within food design. So what would you like to be remembered by? And maybe it's not even food design, I don't know, it's not even food design related.
That's a big question. So I forgot, just let me share my screen 1 second.
Sorry,
it's going to be first. Okay, this is my reaction. Okay, I don't know. There's many things, and at the same time, nothing. But I think that my why I would like to be remembered is by my way of seeing things. I think that I explore critical thinking, something that it's quite attached to something that is ubiquitous as food, and it's everywhere. And I want to explore the language that everyone can understand. And make people empathize and make connect and move something around each of the persons that see like my artworks, and maybe not each of them, but if I have like a 0.01% of the people that sees my artwork to make a click and start thinking and considering and answering, asking the right questions, I think that I would be more than pleased, you know. So I would say that I would like to be remembered by generating new narratives and asking the right questions.
Excellent. You see, that sounds like a wonderful answer. You were worried about this question, but you see, it was excellent. So we have someone who's saying, sorry, that you have a very long name and I wouldn't know how to pronounce it. I'm going to say K. I'm going to call you K. Your name starts with K. So food design is just a part of your regular food job and experience. I'm an industrial food product developer, like processed food scientist, but also now interested in food design. Maybe this is a question. We have a question mark somewhere in there. Food design is just a part of your regular food job and experience. Nicole, what would you say?
Yes, I think that food design, for sure, it's important. I have this relationship of hate and love towards food design. I think that it's very interesting, but also the narratives of art. I think that we are forgetting about this, and we're all the time talking about design thinking. And what about art thinking? What about these narratives that are meant just to generate something on you and make you wonder new reflections? Maybe it's not a brief that you need to solve, that also is something we tackle, but also art allows you to make your own brief. I don't know if that answered the question.
Yes, I guess for me it does. I guess that K comes from industrial, from a place of a strong industrial design perspective. So So maybe your type of work is, it's quite different. What to you is the difference between art and design? Sarah, thank you. Wow, this is a loaded question.
I would put the gif of the head exploding again, I think.
Oh, I've tried to answer this question so many times. It's for you now.
Yeah, glad you don't need to answer it, right? I think that it's a big question to me. Art is about opening questions. It's about opening like the scope, and design is about solving the scope that is already open. So they're complementary. I think they work really well together, and we might need a bit of each when we are creating. Yeah, I don't know if that's something, a starting point.
Definitely. I mean, it makes sense for me, because from from the way you have described art right now, I could say, well, critical design, that could be the same thing. So the definitions are tricky. There are as many definitions as there are human beings giving definitions, right? This is for everything, and that's how it should be. So I find it extremely beautiful for me and interesting to hear other people's definitions. But for me, it's a matter of collecting definitions. I don't think it makes sense to look for the one definition of design and then of food design or art or anything that you want to define. So, and this comes from someone who has actually spent a couple of years collecting definitions of design because I really wanted to find the one definition, and then I just let it go. But the collection of definitions, and therefore that's why I think this is a beautiful question to ask people, and you two have a beautiful answer, and it's your own. And I love to, like Sarah, probably I have this curiosity, and I guess this is the mind frame with which I have started Food Design 2021. For those who haven't, for those who have come across it. It's just this little Instagram page where I'm just collecting answers from anyone involved in the world of food design. Answer to 3 questions, really. And yeah, I'm going through this collection process. Maybe what is the difference between art and design should be my next question to ask to people in food design.
For sure. Yeah, you said something really interesting, that it's critical design. And then I would say, and what about functional art, right? Like there's a spectrum, and it's not black and white, maybe. At least I see it like in colors. But it's interesting. Let me know when you find an answer.
Yes. Sarah, if you are collecting these answers, let us know when you find them. Let me see. Mariana, I'm an architect who's also passionate about food and cooking. So when I stumbled upon your work, I was very curious to know more about your philosophy. Also, we have Kay replying to what we said before. And she said, then we'll go back to Mariana's question. She said, you open up new horizons for me. Thanks. I have to start thinking seriously. That's beautiful. I guess that's what we are here for. You said it before, Nicole, to always be critical of what you know and what you have learned. And I guess that's what we are doing here, right? Whenever we share things with one another, even with this type of things, webinars. So it's beautiful to hear. So Mariana was saying, she was interested in your philosophy. I'm guessing your philosophy because, of course, you're the guest for this webinar. Do you think there is something that you haven't said already in this webinar about your work philosophy?
I could say many things. I think each of us in some point will need to narrow like a manifest of things to do. Yes, I think critique is really interesting, but critique in a proactive way. I think that it's nice to question your own work, but actually also let it be. Sometimes you start doing things and you don't know where they're gonna go, right? And then you get surprised of what can burn from something that you're not expecting anything from it, and maybe that's like the magic. In I don't remember if like maybe you remember the graphic that I have, and actually it's like design, art, and food, and in the between lines, it's like the intersection of each of them, and in this intersection is where magic happens, So
yes, that is actually something very nice to say, that for design, that art, it's one of those ingredients which add a little bit of magic to design. Right? Okay. Brilliant. So, Nicole, I am done with my question. Let me see if there's something else coming up over here. I would say thank you. And do you have anything else that you want to add?
I think not at the moment. But if someone wants to answer anything, I'm super accessible, Nicole Vindel everywhere, and feel free to, I will be happy to hear your thoughts.
So absolutely, let us know. Tell us, actually, send me something quick with all your, I don't know, email, website, Instagram handle, LinkedIn link, whatever you want, and I will put it in the description of this video so people can reach out to you, and maybe for Design Nation as well.
Yes, for sure.
And we'll do that. But I think that if people Google or search for your name on Instagram and all the other platforms, they'll find you easily. But we'll do that also. Well, with that said, actually, thank you. That's my last thing that I want to say. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your work, your beautifully inspiring, clean, and what's the word that I want to say? I want to say imagination triggering work. And thank all of you who have attended, who have been with us live, and those of you who will be watching this later on. Any comments in the description below, any like that you want to put on this video, it also helps the livelihood of the channel. That's how YouTube works. Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks to you. Pleased to be here.
Thank you everybody, and I'll see you, this is important, yes, I'll see you next Friday, March, what is it, 5th? I don't remember. Yes, March 5th at 5 p.m. CET again, and we are going to talk about food system with Aya. Again, thank you, Nicole, thank you everybody, and bye-bye. Okay, so